Right, hello again. I've been thinking I might do more of these video logs or video blogs or vlogs, whatever you want to call them. I've just come back from watching The Warriors, and I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to give a full review now because I don't like to review a film until I've had some time to digest it. I mean, I haven't said, but I hope to be a film journalist in the future. I've actually said on my previous videos, if you watch any of those, if anyone watches these. Anyway, I suppose it's mostly for AJ, really. He'll be the only one watching my videos. It was on this brilliantly old print. It was nice and sort of scratchy, and it had this lovely sort of pink tint to it, and it felt really authentic, which I was pleased about. But there was one thing which nearly ruined the experience for me, and this relates to the previous entry, and that was absolute idiots just laughing throughout the whole thing. And it's not a comedy. It's a sort of quite serious thriller, and I understand it's in the it was filmed in the 70s, and cinema's come a bit of a way from then. It's not arguably a good way. A lot of people preferred it back then, and I've loved 70s cinema for a long time. I don't watch it nearly enough, but ever since I first saw Soylent Green years and years ago, which I think is 70s, maybe it's early 80s. I don't know. I'll have to check that in a second. I don't know what they were expecting when they went into to see the film, because I know what people think. We're going to see a 70s film. It's going to be all old and cheesy, and we'll just laugh at all the bits. And it's just so frustrating. I can barely think straight. I'm so incensed. Even things in the film that are present in today's films that you would take seriously, people were laughing at purely because it's in a 70s film, and they weren't even stifling their laughs. I could understand if people were maybe snickering a bit, but making the best attempt to not laugh out loud. But people were just laughing heartily, belly laughs. There was this guy next to me who I had to keep looking angrily at. He didn't see me, thankfully, because as I said, I hate confrontation. But he was just laughing the whole way through, and I thought there were some really fantastic moments in that film that stand up along to today's best products of cinema. And for instance, I won't spoil anything, but there's a bit when the Warriors, this gang of street thugs, I guess you'd call them, they've got this girl accompanying them. They're on a train to try and get home to Coney Island, which is the main premise of the film. And as they're sitting there, quite tired and beaten down and looking quite dishevelled, at one of the stops, four people get on a train, and they've clearly come back from a prom or a dance of some sort. They're all dressed nicely, and they clearly come from fairly well-to-do families. They are sort of necking, I suppose the best phrase would be, and then they notice the Warriors, and there's sort of this silent moment between them, in which you can sort of see the Warriors' disdain for these people, that they embody everything that the Warriors, well, perhaps in their hearts want to be, but can't because of their own poverty in this situation they've been thrust into, in this lifestyle that they lead. And the girl, when she sees the two other girls, she goes to adjust her hair, to try and fix up her appearance slightly, and the man sitting next to her, the leader of the Warriors, his name's Swan, I forget the guy who plays him, he stays her hand as she goes to do it. Without any exchanging dialogue, you can tell it's his way of saying, you don't need to better yourself. They're not better than you. You don't need to live up to this ideal. We are making the best of the situation we are in, and this is the real New York. Whereas these people are living in this quite fake, constructed world that was present in the 70s and has only developed from then on. I myself, I suppose, live in that sort of quite fake world in which I sit here with my relatively nice phone, with my laptop in front of me, and in student accommodation, going to university to try and get a good job. So even though I can appreciate the Warriors, obviously I didn't come from that sort of background, and I doubt many people who saw the film did. As I was saying, these people, even during this moment, were just guffawing. They were absolute morons. And these people were all older than me. I was by far the youngest person in the cinema. I don't claim to be wise beyond my years, but I like to think that I appreciate cinema a little more than the average cinema goer. I don't think that's conceited to say. And I would have thought that the people going to Cinema City, which is, I think, the smallest cinema in Norwich, and shows such great classics as The Warriors, the people going there, I would have thought would be of similar calibre and would sit there with some modicum of respect for what is an important film in the development of cinema as an art form. I was utterly bemused. I mean, I went into this thinking it would just be a bit of fun, and at first it did seem to be steeped in that 70s cheese that we're all very familiar with, the big hairdos and perhaps a little bit of hammy acting, but it became so much more than that as the film went on, and I was so happy about it, but at the same time, so, for lack of a better phrase, pissed off with these absolute... there is not a word that I would like to say that best describes these people. Anyway, that's all I can say about it tonight before formulating a proper opinion on the film, which I'll most likely write about on my blog, which I suppose I'll put a link to in the description if anyone wishes to visit that. Right, might as well talk about a bit of what's been going on and what I'm doing in my life at the moment, really. I'm studying film and English at the University of East Anglia, as probably the main viewer of this knows. I live in this quite pokey student accommodation, but it's not bad. All I need is a little hole to curl up in and just collapse when I get too tired. The only problem with it is that the people who live in the flat above me are of the very sort of popular going out clubbing types, and I have no problem with that, except for the fact that Norwich has a dedicated student night, which is Thursday night, which was last night, and they tend to have a very big party up there every Thursday, and there's always ridiculously loud thumping music coming through the ceiling, which I can just about cope with. I can just put my headphones in and listen to music, but what I can't cope with is I better explain the layout of the flats. We have our rooms on a corridor attached to a kitchen, and attached to that is a balcony, which most people use to go out and smoke, even though I'm not allowed to, rather not supposed to. I in fact got caught up on this just earlier by the senior residents who were jogging past. And basically, the problem with this during these parties is that people go out onto the balcony above, and they'll usually have bottles, which they will just chuck down into the street when they are done with them, as opposed to just putting them in a bin, which is about 2 metres away from them inside. And apart from this giving us a bad name as students living in the city centre of Norwich, it just... Well, often glass will come down onto my balcony. I say my balcony because I'm the only one who uses it. No one else in my flat goes out there, as far as I'm aware. And it'll just smash onto the street. Just this morning, there was a big pile of broken glass in the road, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone has called, well, not the police, and the council or something like that about it. And I'm afraid there's going to be some kind of action taken against the people who live here. And that's one of the problems. The other problem, which was certainly highlighted last night, was that people just urinate off the balcony, which is an absolutely disgusting thing to do. I understand that people often feel the need to relieve their bladders when intoxicated, as soon as possible, but it's not acceptable to just pee into the street. We have a main road going past our place, and there's pee splashing on there, and of course as the flow ebbs, it goes down onto the balcony attached to my flat below. And last night I had enough. I went upstairs to talk to these people nicely, because I don't want any confrontation. I didn't dislike any of them that much. So I just went up there very kindly, just made my way to the balcony and said, "Guys, it's too much to be smashing bottles," and I didn't mention the peeing, but I just said the bottles that was just too much to be doing, and all the ridiculous noise and screaming and yelling, and they continued to do this after I came down. I'm sure I noted an increase in bottle smashing and urination off the balcony, and it's just a little too much for someone like me who spends most of their time in their room and doesn't subscribe to this lifestyle of constantly going out and getting drunk out of your skull and stumbling back and just having the same boring conversations with people over and over and over again. I can't do that. I would rather be silent and unhappy than loud and under some illusion of happiness, if I can be so pretentious as to say that. So I suppose that's my main trouble at the moment, aside from the fact that I'm trying at the moment to get student housing, and we were able to get a group of 5 people together because that's how many we needed for a house. 2 of those people dropped out after being offered places in houses with better friends than us, and this was after 3 of us had put in deposits, which I think is a bit of a shitty thing to do, if you'll pardon my French. But we soldiered on because we still had some time. We found 2 new people who, less than a week later, after agreeing to our terms that in coming with us they would definitely be going into the house, have said, "Oh no, we're not actually going to go into student housing at all. We're just going to live with our families near Norwich." And that is a horrible, horrible thing to do. It's really landed us in just a world of crap, really. So at the moment, the three people, myself, a guy called Ed, and another guy from my course called Louis, we're simultaneously trying to search for new people while looking at the possibility of getting 3-bedroom houses. So I just don't know what's going to happen at the moment, really. I suppose that's all I have to say in this rather depressing next contribution to my log. And I suppose I can always just hope that tomorrow will be a better day and turn up something new, which I suppose is perhaps a bit of a naive philosophy, but it's the only one I can happily subscribe to. And speaking of subscribing, if you like these videos at all, then feel free to subscribe, whatever, or rate and comment, as they constantly say at the end of their videos. But to be honest, I don't really care. I'm just doing this as a bit of a release, as a bit of a rant. And I apologise if my voice is a bit monotone, but I'm A, quite tired, and B, trying to keep my voice down out of respect for my flatmates and anyone else who might be able to hear me. So thank you for listening to the incoherent ramblings of a depressive English and film student.